Welcome to Ensemble Teacher Tech. Today, in episode 4, we're going to talk about getting ready for a virtual performance. But specifically, the big detail here is the backing track that your students are going to use. And I've talked to a few band directors who don't want to use the stock tempo of the track that they've been able to find. So I have talked about in a previous episode, by the way, which is posted to my YouTube channel, Ensemble Teacher Tech. Would you subscribe? I have talked about on episode 2, which was all about making backing tracks, but that was for use in rehearsal. I never addressed how to slow down the exported track when you want to export a track and have it be, a certain number of beats per minute slower. So today we're going to use Garageband and Logic Pro X to slow down some tracks, but I'll also give you a quick and free web resource so that you have that at your disposal. Let's get started here. I'm going to open up GarageBand. I'm on a Mac, and of course this is my laptop, but you can do this in your phone and also on your iPad. I prefer to do it on my computer. But what I've done here a little bit in terms of prep work is I've dragged this is a WAV file. You could do the same with an mp3, and I've dragged it into the timeline here. I haven't done any fancy lining it up. It happens to have a metronome click at the beginning, and it just so happens, because of the way I made this file originally, that it looks really lined up. But literally, I've just dragged this right on here. And I did cheat, and I know that my recording is already at 70 beats per minute. Check it out. So this is a backing track that I made for my ukulele players in 7th grade general music. It's the backing track for Three Little Birds. They're learning to play that right now. And I want to allow them to make a recording with this. So this is at 70 beats per minute, but they're not quite ready for that. We can slow this down very quickly, very, very quickly. It's probably less than a minute. On the top left-hand side of GarageBand here, you'll find the edit window, editors, and you're going to click the scissors and quickly move to the bottom left where you can see track or region are highlighted. I've been fooling around with this, so I'm sorry I don't remember what the default is, but if region is default, then just make sure you've got track highlighted. It should be in blue. And then this is easy. Click Enable Flex, and that's going to allow this flex time, which allows you now to click on the tempo at the top and drag up or down, and the tempo of the track will change. So again, here was 70 beats per minute, so just so you have the reference. But if I click and drag, let's go down to like 52. So it's obviously much slower. I will just caution you that the more slow you attempt to make it, the worse the quality of the audio is, because this mp3 is a digital audio file, so it's not going to retain a lot of its quality. But if you were just doing like a small difference, like maybe from 70 down to 62 or something, it's really a pretty acceptable loss of quality. You don't notice too much. So that's GarageBand. If you export that track on the top part of the primary menu up here under Share, you can hit Export Song to Disk and choose a name for that file, and you've got a brand new slowed down track. So that's GarageBand. I like to work in Logic Pro X or Logic Pro 10. This is the same track, and again, I've done some similar homework here. We're at 70 beats per minute. You can hear the original track. And in in Logic, correct myself here, I'm going to customize the display window here. So I'm going to click the down arrow on the right-hand side of the window and choose Custom. This is going to allow me to do a couple things. Now, I'm a big fan of using this tool in rehearsal. I'll actually use Logic as an audio source in rehearsal. And so I can change the tempo in rehearsal if I'm using, under Customize Control Bar and Display, I'm clicking that arrow a second time, and I would choose Varispeed. Okay, now I've been playing with this for a little while, so Varispeed was already turned on. I can, in this, I can turn Varispeed off. You can hear it at 70 beats per minute. And then we can turn Varispeed back on. And you can hear that the tempo is clearly different. The difference here, though, is if I export this file, the file is actually going to export at the original tempo. So I haven't ruined anything. There's no destructive action here. Nothing has been taken away from the original quality, and I can always come back to this and work with this file again. If I want to export this at a slower tempo, which is dead useful, the workflow it's only slightly more involved, not especially difficult. We're going to do a similar track here. We're going to click the scissors on the upper left-hand side. That's our edit transport window. And once you've done that, you'll notice that in the file region itself down here, in the center of the screen, basically, you have track and file and smart tempo. I've been fooling around with this, so I don't remember which the default is, but I think it shows up under track. But you'll need file. Selecting these changes the menus on the left-hand side. So it is critical that you're looking under File. And under Edit, please excuse me, under Functions, we're looking for something called the Time and Pitch Machine. Logic shows its superiority here because you can do much finer gradations of tempo. And so in Garageband, you could only choose, for example, whole numbers, but in Logic, you can do proportions of that, or greater fractions or lesser fractions. So it's also possible to type in specifically what you're looking for and hit enter. And once you click process and paste, this is a destructive action, and it does change the track, but then it becomes ready for you. Let's get this out of the way here. Pardon me. I'll turn Varispeed off. And you can see that the track is now, with Varispeed turned off, the track is now much slower. I know the setting up here in the screen hasn't changed from 70, but it is considerably slower if I were to undo that action. Can hear the difference. So once I've done my time and pitch machine under functions, once I've done the process and paste, I can then export this file from Logic Pro X, and I have my slower MP3 file for my virtual ensemble. And I did promise you, if you're still with me here, that if you were a user of another platform and you wanted to slow down the track, you could use, for example, a tool like audiotrimmer.com. They have a few different tools here. You would upload the file, simply choose the tempo that you want. Now you can see this is done in a little bit different way here, 0.9%, 0.8, or 0.9, which is 90%, 80%, 70%. That's not quite as useful. It obviously does speed up. Maybe not exactly the tool you need, but if it's the only option you have, then there you go. There is a file size limit here to 20 megabytes, which is not a lot. So if you're using an MP3, that's probably not too big of a deal, but if you're using like a larger WAV file, it's probably not going to be very much help. So that's it for today. I do have a favor to ask of you. If you're finding these videos at all useful, would you head over to YouTube, please, even if you're seeing this on Facebook, and would you consider subscribing to my Ensemble Teacher Tech channel? Right now, the address of that channel is gobbledygook. It's nonsense because I don't have enough subscribers to customize the name, but I would be extremely thankful for you if you could help me get to 100 subscribers so that I can change the name of that channel to Ensemble Teacher Tech. Stay tuned. In the next week, I'm going to start talking about some of the tools I'm using in virtual rehearsals. Namely, I'm a Zoom user, but I'm going to talk about how I'm switching lots of different sources, video sources, different cameras, and to do that, I use a Stream Deck. So perhaps you have an interest in that. Stay tuned for that next week. All right, see you then.